Hello guys, welcome to episode 54 of the Switch Indie Fix podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything indie on the Nintendo Switch. We have had what we say in Britain, balls up, or if you want, you can also say cock up on the the show today. I actually had Ryan Brown on earlier to come and talk about Super Rare Games and did a really cool interview with him. And what happened was I believe the stream crashed. It recorded only 2 minutes. I had no backup, so we lost everything. But our knight in shining armor is here. Darth, how are you today?
Very good. It's a very hot day in Montreal here, and it's actually nice to get some good weather.
Ah, nice. Yeah, it's been raining all day here today in Vienna.
It's like 24 degrees.
Very nice. Yeah, it's been wet. We were shopping. I bought a new monitor because the monitor I'm using to stream is actually my fiance's, and she needs to take it back to work when she goes back to work.
Right.
So I got myself a new 24-inch monitor, which I'm happy about. It means there'll be no Lou in our streaming schedule. But yeah, we are streaming right now live on twitch.tv/Switch IndieFix. So if you are live in the chat and you do want to ask any questions, you can do so by @ing Switch IndieFix in the chat, and either I or Darth will look through and find them. If anyone is in chat, could they let me know how everything sounds? If you can hear Darth, that would be great. I think it should be fine. He's coming through pretty loud. But yeah, so this week we were supposed to be doing an interview. I was going to mix and match everything with Ryan's interview, but that's not going to happen. So instead, me and Daff are going to talk about the weekly gaming news, such as Journey to the Savage Planet dropping on the Switch, a Wholesome Direct, and we'll also be talking about my success in Slay the Spire, and our impressions of What the Golf. But first, let me tell you about our brand spanking new Patreon. If you like the Switch Indie Fix podcast and the other content we create for Switch Indie Fix, please consider becoming a Patreon by going to patreon.com/Switch Indie Fix. Supporting us on our $1 tier will get your name read out at the end of the show. Like I said, if you do have questions, do feel free to at me in chat and let me know what your questions are, either about the content or just direct questions from me and Daff. But if you are listening to the podcast and you want to ask us a question for next week's show, you can do so by going to switchindiefix.com/SIF podcast and filling out the form there. And finally, tonight we are hosting a game night on the Switch Indie Fix Discord server. What game are we playing tonight, Daff?
Golf with friends, because we're all friends.
Yes, golf with friends. It seems to be a perfect multiplayer game. It can host up to 12 people in a game. So, we are going to be hanging out at 9 p.m. BST, which I think is 4 p.m.
EST. Yeah.
So, so if you're available, please come by and say hello. I will also be streaming the game night. So if you don't have the game or you don't have Discord or whatever, for whatever reason you can't be there, do come and hang out in chat, and any questions or comments you want me to read out and say to the people in the Discord, I will do so. But as always, before we have the game night, we do have our first section of the podcast, and that is our news section. And today, Darth, there are 2 items on the list. What is that?
A very measly baker's dozen.
A very measly baker's dozen indeed, because I don't know, it's just not a lot of news today. But yeah, starting off with story number 1 is that Journey to the Savage Planet Shadow drops onto the Switch. So yes, you heard me right. The space exploration first-person shooter is out now on a Nintendo Switch and is retailing for €29.99. In the game, you play as an underexperienced adventurer sent to scope out a new planet and see if it is suitable for human life. The problem is, the planet is full of animals and fauna that wants to kill you, and you don't have that much equipment to protect yourself. So this kind of, like Shadow dropped on Thursday, I think, or Friday, onto the eShop. It's a game I think we knew was coming. I think they talked about...
Pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, they said that they were working on the Switch port. One thing that I think is really interesting is that the game is being published on the Switch by 505 Games, and they're also promoting Indivisible, which was another game that Shadow dropped on the Switch, but it was so undercover and no one knew about it that even the game's developers didn't know about it. So I think.
Oh right, that was like last week's, right? Last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So it came out. Everyone was really hyped because I believe it was like an anime style RPG that a lot of people wanted. But yeah, it was kind of funny because the game developers didn't realize that the game actually was released. So I think obviously 505's plan was that, yeah, they release both games together as like a double whammy. Either way, I think it's a cool game. I'm just kind of a bit worried for Journey to the Savage Planet Daft because it seems very similar to Outer Worlds, which is coming out in like a week and a half.
Yes and no. It has much more of I think has much more of like a roguelike humorous part to it. Like you die and it's like we were talking about last week about Void Bastards where you turn into like a goop. You're made out of like meat you get from killing monsters. I think it's much more like I think it's humorous in a different way than say Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds is much more a straight RPG. Outer Worlds again is a game both these games for me I would not play on Switch.
Yeah.
Just because I would rather play them somewhere else. This is probably the last game from this company we'll see on the Switch, being that they were bought by Google. Right before. Yeah, they were purchased by Google just before the release of this game.
Okay.
They're a Montreal-based company.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure this probably made the last game we'll see from them. Same thing with like Outer Worlds, probably the last game we'll see from that company on the Switch.
Yeah. So
Microsoft. I think both of them are interesting. Both are a bit different. I think one's more of an RPG, one's more of an action adventure. But yeah, I think both of them are going to be going against each other in a way because they're both going to be pricier games with humor and all that.
Yeah.
And both of them were kind of shadow dropped because it was this week when you heard about Outer Worlds coming next week, right? Like confirmed date.
Yeah, they confirmed the date. I think I have it in New Game of Note. I think, or maybe I missed it.
Yeah. So I think too, like both of them kind of dropped really early, and I guess people were hoping that during the quarantine time, people will pick up these games because they
want something to play.
They want something to play. Like if you looked at the last NPRs of last April, like it's insane how many people purchase games. Like I think that's what they're hoping for, but I still think that it's not the greatest when you have other games that you're competing against if you have no heads up.
Yeah. I think it's a cool way to think about it is how Frankenstein Gaming says in the chat. He says Outer Worlds is the Fallout as Journey to the Savage Planet is the Borderlands.
Yeah, exactly.
So, when you think of it like that, it makes a bit more sense.
I mean, technically, it is made. Outer Worlds is made by some Fallout devs, so
yeah. But yeah, it is well, I guess you'd say like it's a half price game, but it's quite pricey for an indie game, and I think it's short. So for me, it sounds fine. I'm like, yeah, that sounds the shorter it is, the better. But yeah, bear that in mind before buying the game. But yeah, it's out now on Nintendo Switch. And our second story is that Wholesome Games is holding a Wholesome Direct, which will feature over 50 indie games. So I think because of the times we live in right now, wholesome video games are extremely appealing to gamers. Games like Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, and What the Golf, and many others are hits on the Switch because people want the safe and wholesome experience that those games offer. Website wholesomegames.com is hosting its first ever Wholesome Direct on Tuesday the 26th of May at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, so 6 p.m. for us in the UK, over on their YouTube channel. The Direct, obviously inspired by Nintendo Direct, will feature over 50 cute and wholesome indie games. I don't think the Direct is specifically focused at Switch indies, but I assume there are going to be a lot of Switch indies on there.
Do you know how this all started?
No, like the first Wholesome Games, I know them from Instagram. They have like a big presence on Instagram. But go ahead, yeah.
So they were on another podcast. They were interviewed one of them were interviewed on podcast last week. They are actually game devs also. They're making a wholesome game. I think it's called Sushi Roll is their game.
Okay.
The idea is that they were on different Discords of, let's say, like, Ooblets, and realized that there's a lot of people who want these kind of games.
Yeah.
And so they decided to make a Twitter account, and it just kind of blew up. And then I think they were inspired Nintendo Directs, and I think also Kind of Funnies.
Showcase.
Just inspired to do their own thing, and so now they have pretty big names, I would say, for some wholesome games that I'm excited to hear about more.
Yeah, like I think it's becoming really like a thing on Twitter. Like when something is wholesome, it just becomes like massively popular. And like I said, I think it maybe because of the world we live in right now, people like that kind of cute, colorful, sometimes simple gameplay with like kind of like Animal Crossing.
Like when I first saw them, I thought they were kind of like the Twitter kind of like, Kenny Pet's a dog kind of thing. Just like just posting games that are like wholesome. But now we realize it's much more, and I think it's actually a really cool idea behind it. Like, I guess we can go through some of the games that are going to be shown, and I think a lot of them will be on the Switch. So
I think so too, because they all look very kind of I don't want to say simple, but the art style seemed, like I said, very like low poly.
It's already confirmed already, so
yeah. So I think I was considering if I was going to live stream the direct. I don't think I'm going to bother, but yeah, definitely we'll be watching it, or maybe I'll make like a YouTube video for it, my reactions, just because it's not totally Switch based. But yeah, I think it's cool that people take these initiatives and make these directs themselves. Another one I want to shout out is Barry June on Twitter. Hang on, what's his at? He makes an Impact Direct, which he does quite often. I wouldn't say monthly, but every couple of months he has a direct. His Twitter is at Impact GameStat, and he's also very focused on indie games and does like first look. So if you are looking for more kind of like upcoming showcases like these directs, also check out Barry's Impact Directs, because they're also pretty cool.
So some of the games we'll be seeing here will be Skatebird, which you know is coming to the Switch, Spire, which I'm excited for. And that's for sure coming to Switch. Another Montreal based company. There's Kid Fox is one of the devs, so there's probably going to be a Boyfriend Dungeon.
Yeah.
Something else. Just Kind Words, which I'm curious because that game's already out on Steam. Maybe it's an announcement that the game's coming to Switch or consoles. That'd be cool. If you know what Kind Words is, actually like you send letters to other people, and you think that can get very bad, but just modded pretty quickly that a lot of idiot people who send crappy shit is not actually seen.
Yeah.
So that could be an interesting game if it does come to the Switch. So yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting. I think there's gonna be a lot of content here, and it's nice that just hopefully a lot of websites are gonna pick up on this and showcase some of these indie games that get announced.
It is interesting because I think I first saw it on Nintendo Everything, picked it up. So yeah, I hope a lot of people check it out. Good on these developers who had this idea. It's kind of cool, and like it's kind of like one of my end goals is to also have like a an indie direct from us eventually one day maybe, but let's see.
And hopefully we'll get an Ooblets release date.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, good.
That'd be big news for them too.
Yeah. I did see on Twitter that they were teasing Ooblets. But yeah, that kind of rounds off the main stories for the week. But then we do have some heads ups and new games of note and some physical therapy for you guys. So the first heads up is that there is a big sale on the EU Nintendo eShop, which includes games like Monster Boy for 55% off and Old Man's Journey for 80% off. The game is $1.99 on the EU eShop. This game is one of my favorite indie games. It's beautiful, it's well made, it's different. And it's right now it's really cheap. So if you're looking for something shorter to play with a very kind of start, middle, and end story, then I highly suggest Old Man's Journey. You should definitely buy it. And it's made in Vienna, where I live, so that's kind of a nice little thing too. Then next up is Graffiti Games and Roby Studios have released a gameplay video for their upcoming indie platformer Bluefire. If you remember, Bluefire was included in one of the Indie Worlds, I believe, which is like the game, I mean, is kind of like a 3D platformer. The gameplay is caught on the Switch and looks very beautiful. What's interesting is that as you defeat enemies, you literally gain souls. So there must be some RPG elements to the game where you can use the souls to upgrade your skills. Darth, do we have another Souls-like on our hand?
Maybe, potentially. I mean, it's hard to say Souls-like for a lot of 2D games. It's hard. I think it's going to be difficult. I mean, not Souls-like, but difficult.
Yeah, like I said, from the videos, it's more, I don't know, it's 3D platforming with some light combat, and like I say, you get these souls. So I think you're going to be able to upgrade yourself, and maybe there's some checkpoint in where when you die you lose the souls and have to go back and get them. But yeah, I know a lot of people are looking forward to Bluefire. What's his name? Sorry, Vegan Games, one of the reviewers on the site. He's always making videos about Bluefire, so I bet he's really excited to find out news about that. The next heads up we have is that Risk of Rain 2 devs update their content roadmap for June and fall, or autumn for us in the UK. In June, new updates include a new stage, new bosses, new items, and more equipment. And in the autumn updates, there will be a final boss and there will be a new final stage. Speaking of updates, we then have Human Fall Flats is also getting a new level. The level will be called Factory and will be a completely free update to the game. And finally, Ministry of Broadcast, which is the game published by Numskull Gaming, gets a free update, includes new features, improvements, and an easy mode. So yeah, some cool new updates there for games that you already own. But yeah, moving on to brand new games. In new games of note, we have Ratalaika Games is releasing visual novel Strawberry Vinegar on the Switch in June. It's the story of a young girl befriending a demon. And man, visual novels are weird. This when I was reading in it, I was like, oh, I'll put the synopsis in, and then when I read the synopsis, I was like, I don't really want to say this out loud.
Yeah, that sounds bad in many ways.
Yeah. When you read the synopsis and see the art, it also looks bad in many ways.
I think of a white van with no windows, with a man inside, and she befriends him.
No, she befriends a literal demon, but it's about this. It's kind of like says something like, "Oh, a 9-year-old girl finds it really hard to find friends until she meets a demon. Will it be friendship or will it be something more?" And I'm like, ooh, okay. But yeah, moving on. A game that looks I've never heard of before, but looks really, really cool if you're a soccer fan, is Street Power Soccer was announced for the Switch. The game is an arcade/football game that looks like FIFA Street on steroids. Not only can you play matches, but you can show off your best techers through the Pana mode, which is where you have to use your best moves with the ball to get past another player. There's also the breakdance mode, where you have to do your best keepy-uppies and skills to impress judges, and more. In total, there are 6 different game modes to play, and you can fully customize your character. Streets of Power Soccer is scheduled for a summer release on Nintendo Switch. Then we have Urban Flow, which is coming to the Switch as a console exclusive on June 26th. The multiplayer game is all about rerouting and redirecting chaotic traffic and bringing the streets of a virtual city back into harmony. If you've ever played, did you ever play City Skylines stuff?
Yes, I have played it. I tried to play it. It's quite hard.
Yeah, so
I've never gone far into it.
You'll know the difficulty of directing traffic in that game and how you build your roads, because the traffic in the game, I think, is dynamic. So, you know, it's not just simulated art or images of cars moving. It's actually like the cars actually have a route where they need to go. So it's like, okay, a car will start at a house and it has to get from house, which is A, to work, which is B. And it will use the road system accordingly to find the best route there. But the problem in City Skylines is that everyone wants to build a city that looks beautiful, but they don't think about the road and how to plan the road. So then you all end up getting traffic, and that just blocks up your city and causes your cities to fail because people can't get to where they're going. It gets to the point like my brother's a big City Skylines player, and he's literally looking up like town planning plans on how you should build roads and roundabouts because the game simulation is that realistic. And yeah, an urban flow literally takes that aspect of the game and just makes it a kind of puzzle game. So this is a game that I'm really interested in. It's a Switch exclusive, which I think is interesting, or as a console exclusive, and it's coming out soon. So keep an eye out for Urban Flow on the Switch. Then finally, we have Hot Shots Racing. It's screeching its way onto the Switch in June. The game is an arcade racing game with up to 8-player online multiplayer and 4-person split screen for local co-op. It's made by indie devs Lucky Mountain and Sumo Digital. Sumo Digital are the guys that made Snake Pass, and they also made Team Sonic Racing, the most recent one. So for a racing game, I think there's some pedigree there at least, and it's been published by Curve Digital. There are 8 drivers to choose from, and the game will run in a silky smooth 60 frames per second. If you're looking for a new racing challenge you're friends with, this might be worth checking out. And Darth, I also thought it might be a great future game night game.
Yeah, potentially.
Good. So moving on to our final section of the news is our physical therapy. This was the section where Ryan Brown was supposed to come on. If you don't know who Ryan Brown is, he's at Toad's Anime on Twitter. You'll probably know him through that if you have Twitter and you're into gaming. He came on because Super Rare Games announced that they are releasing Tricky Towers Collector's Edition as a physical edition on the Nintendo Switch. There will be 4,000 copies made, available worldwide with pre-orders opening on May the 28th. What's cool is that all 6 DLCs will be packed onto one cartridge, and the game is going to cost roughly $33 or $36, and is available exclusively at superraregames.com. So yeah, sorry, I've forgotten his name. Ryan came on and spoke about Tricky Towers, and we did an interview. But for whatever reason, our stream crashed, and I didn't have any backups, so that got lost. Luckily, if you know Super Rare Games, you know that they release a new game every month. So hopefully next month Ryan can come back on again and talk about whatever their next game is going to be. And then finally, for physical therapy, Limited Run have partnered with Special Reserve Games to bring an exclusive variant cover for Mother Russia Bleeds on the Nintendo Switch. The edition will cost $29.99, with more details to come next week. Good, and that has been our news. Do let us know which news story you found most interesting. If you're going to be checking out the Wholesome Games, Wholesome Direct, let me know. It'd be interesting to see what games are going to be in it. Do you know how long the Direct's going to be, Daft? Because with 50 games in it, it must be quite lengthy.
I don't think it's gonna be that long. I don't think they mentioned it, but I think they were saying it's gonna be around an hour.
Okay, that's not too bad then.
I think they just want to do like boom, like trailer.
Yeah, that's the best way
Like they don't
do
want to, I think there's gonna be talking to some devs, but yeah, I don't think it'll be long.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Good. Then we will finish off our news section. Just before we do, I do want to remind you that this week's episode of the Switch Indie Fix podcast is brought to you by the Switch Indie Fix store. If you fancy some Switch Indie Fix merch, then we've got it. T-shirts, hoodies, and mugs to make you look like a legendary SIF fan. Interested? Go to switchindiefix.com/store. And as always, we will move on to section 2, which is our conversation portion. And yeah, this portion was supposed to be the interview, but we've kind of been winging it a bit, and we have both actually been playing What the Golf, which came out on Thursday. So Daph, why don't you let us know a little bit about what the golf is and what your impressions have been so far?
And so it's a weird golf game where you're actually not always hitting a golf ball to the hole. You could be hitting the golfer or a little bird looks like a Flappy Bird to the hole, and there's no real like you don't need to hit a certain amount of hits. I think there is modes where you got to hit it in X amount of hits, but in the normal playthrough, it's just get it to the end. There's a lot of interesting, fun, like there's a Mario level, there's a Angry Birds level, there's a Flappy Birds level. It's like small. Each level takes you like a minute, 2 minutes to finish in like the normal mode. And there's like certain modes where like hit the 5 cats or hit whatever. And it's like, I guess the only thing I have trouble is it's really easy to hit it full. It's much harder to hit it like less than full. And I think a lot of that reading reviews, that's a lot of people's issues of hitting that. It can be more precise with the hit. But I recommend it. It's still on sale. I think it's $18 right now compared to $24 here in Canada. It's pretty long, I think.
Yeah, I looked it up. It's about 3 hours, I think, to beat the to play through it, kind of just doing these levels.
But I think you can go back and play them with like different things, or actually getting the ball in or getting whatever into the hole in X amount of hits.
Yeah, like I played it last night after the stream, which it was kind of nice because I was so kind of like built up from playing Dead Cells, where I found like it was such a nice like come down, if you know what I mean, because it's just peaceful, and you're listening to the birds tweet, or and it's always surprising because I know the game enough to know, okay, like it's gonna troll me a bit here where we're playing golf, but yeah, you got to hit the golf ball and the golf club will fly off. But every time it did that, I was always surprised, like, and always laughed. And and I did make a trying out video, so the trying out video will be going up on Tuesday, so keep an eye out for that on YouTube. But yeah, you're right. The one thing I didn't like when I first played it was that I was like, okay, I wish there was kind of like a amount of hits. And pretty much as soon as I said that, I realized, okay, if I go back to one of the holes that I've already beaten, there is 2 more levels that you can unlock. You can do it normally where you can have as many hits as you like. You just have to get to the goal. You can do it where there is a par. So there is a set amount of hits that you're allowed to take to get to the goal. Otherwise, you fail. And then there is also like a bonus level. And the bonus level is usually themed around the area that you're in. So the one that I did, I think the main level was you had to hit a house over to the goal. and then the bonus level was you had to pack a moving truck with different items and then move the moving truck to the goal, kind of thing. So yeah, it's nice. It's like you once you do all three, you get given a crown, and then with these crowns you can unlock like bonus rooms, which I haven't done yet, but you use them to unlock doors, which add some more content. But yeah, overall, like it seems like a pretty chill, wholesome game that, you know, like I said, it was just like a nice come down after Dead Cells yesterday to kind of play it and like relax a little bit, and it kind of brought down my heart rate, which was kind of nice. What do you think to the art style of it, though?
It's very like it's cartoonish. It's very like it's interesting. Like it's very polygonal. Like the cats are very just like pointed with like ears sticking out.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's like you can tell the art style matches what the game is. And Chad Frankenstein Gaming asks, worth it? It's discounted too. Yeah, it's discounted. I think that's as some games do. They're discounted right when they launch.
It's in its launch promotion. I think it's 25% off now. In Europe, its retail is $19.99 and it's on sale now for $14.99. And like I bought the game because I think the price could be a stickler for people, because I think the game came out originally on Apple Arcade, right?
Yeah, it was an Apple Arcade game originally for a while.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, well, for a 3-hour game, you could probably, you know, get the 3 months Apple Arcade subscription, play it on your phone, and then not worry about it. But I don't know, for a Switch game, I think $19.99 is kind of now becoming the regular price for an indie game. I always thought that originally it was always $14.99, but now the prices are obviously starting to go up because it's just how the world works.
But I also think that it's a good game. Like even if 3 hours is 3 hours to get through the game, but you can always go back and try to make it more challenging.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's for sure worth the money, because it's a game where you can like just drop in, drop out, do a course here and there.
Yeah.
And there's so different themes. There's like a whole one that's in space, and it's like you got to worry about gravity.
Yeah.
And things like that. So like I think it's not just like, oh, here's like 50 holes are all the same.
Yeah.
Right. And that gets boring. It's like 5 holes which have a theme. You move on, because how the game works is essentially you're in the overworld is like different rooms, and you have to do like 2 or 3 2 or 3 courses, not courses, but like levels in each one, and you move on to the next one, and then they usually change after 2 rooms or 3. So one is like, the one I found really fun was like you're a barrel and you have like black powder leaking out of you, and you had to make it to the end without blowing up, without the black powder, like the thing like hitting you, like, or you're a rocket. Like,
yeah, and what I love about it is that there are so many puns and like little kind of jokes about it. Where there was one where there's a level where you are playing as the golf, the flag in the hole, and you are holding A down to have the arrow like which usually you aim with, and it fills up with your power. And instead of actually shooting it, you have to use the arrow to move around to stop like people trying to get to you. And you do it and knock all these goblins or whatever they are into these barrels, and they explode. And then at the end it says, a point and click game, because you're literally like, using the pointer and you're holding it down to click and stuff like that, which I think is kind of like charming and adds to the feel of the wholesomeness.
I think the first one is called Hole in One, and you're literally moving the golf hole into a big one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I think, which I like that's kind of my sense of humor. And like I said, every time that every time it surprises you by making whatever you're hitting not the golf ball, like I just think it's hilarious. Like there's one level where, it's kind of like Flappy Birds, and you're playing as this bird the whole time, and then on the last level the bird is there, and you have to hit it into a net, into a soccer goal. And then you end up like charging up the power, getting ready for the bird to move, and then the soccer goal on the other side of the pitch flies across the screen, and it's just kind of like like slapstick comedy, but it's good.
There's a few like that, and there's also then there's like the soccer level where like little kids try to hit the ball away, and you have to like dribble around them. Like I think it's very imaginative, and I think that's why it's worth it. If it was just like, here's 60 holes and you're playing mini putt, like, then I'll be like, okay, this is kind of the same. And it gets redundant
Yeah,
quickly.
like I'm sure there are games like that on the Switch that cost like next to nothing, but I guess for some reason we're getting a resurgence in golf games on the Switch because we have it Golf with Your Friends, What the Golf, the new PGA series was announced, so
Right.
so yeah, and I think definitely yeah, What the Golf has its own selling point. Every Golf with Your Friends also the fact that you can play with a lot of friends is like a unique selling point. But yeah, like it's definitely a game I'm gonna go back and finish. Just because I do feel like it is so relaxing, and the problem with me is I'm one of these people where I'm like, okay, I need to get every single crown now, and so far it's not been challenging, which is nice as well, that you can just play it casually and leisurely, without having to worry about like, oh my god, like I'm bashing my head off this wall, not knowing how to move, not knowing how to progress, which in a segue I guess brings us on to talking about Slay the Spire. So, how many hours do you think you've put into Slay the Spire, Daff?
For sure over 350.
350. Hang on, I've got my Switch here.
Be-
Let me see how many hours I've put into it. Because if you don't know, I've been playing Slay the Spire on stream for probably the last 4 weeks. Yeah, I'd say at least So the last month, last night was kind of like a milestone point because it's the furthest we got into it. So on my Switch, it says I played for 10 hours or more. Yeah, it was a milestone because up until now, we'd always been getting about halfway through the second floor and either hitting an elite and losing out to the elite, or just not having enough kind of know-how or skill to actually get further into the Spire. Last night it was a little bit different. On the last stream I unlocked the Silent and I played one round with the Silent and felt like, okay, this is my character. I kind of understand her. Is it a girl or a boy? Or I understand.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I understand them better because the Silent is more about doing little amounts of damage more often, or doing building poison and using your poison to slowly whittle away at an enemy's health. So I started the run yesterday. I did do some like rat strats, where on the second floor I could see, because you always get the choice where you want to go, right? You can either go towards an elite or towards a campfire or towards a shop. And I did have a route that had a lot of question marks. So I was like, all right, well, I want to get to the second boss at least on this stream. So I did take a lot of the question marks. Some were beneficial, some weren't so good. But yeah, we ended up getting to the second boss. And yeah, beat the second boss pretty easily.
Which one was it?
Say it is the guy that is like hooded with red eyes, and he sits on the front at the back, and he keeps like spawning minions.
Okay, it's spawned. Yeah. Okay.
And my strategy there was, okay, I know he's going to keep spawning these minions, so I'm just going to try and go all out attack on him, which for the most part works because I can't remember exactly how much health we had left when we finished, but I think I was still kind of feeling comfortable that we beat him. And then we went on to the third floor, which I've done once before when Slay the Spire first came to the Switch, but on stream I've never done it. So we did go to the third floor. I took a few more risks on the third floor because I was a bit like, okay, the second floor we kind of cheesed it a little. Let's go kind of a bit more hardcore with this. Did some gambles and had some like events that happened. Where I had one event where you could choose like war, like it was something like you chose war to get a new relic, or
defeat the first level boss.
And I did that and defeated.
Heal yourself. You kind of upgrade more, or
exactly.
That's the third one now.
Yeah, so
I always do you defeat the first level boss because they're usually you can trounce them.
Yeah, that was my fault as well. Like I ended up getting a Guardian, which I think the Guardian is the only boss in the game. I'm like, okay, I know this like the back of my hand. He's the one that turns into. He looks like a. Do you know what a Ferrero Rocher is? Like he turns into the spiky ball.
Oh yes, the one that defends himself after.
Yeah, and then every time you hit him, you take 3 damage.
Yeah.
But yeah, by then
points, that's good.
Yeah, and by then with my poison, I just had him down. But then it kind of dipped a bit where I was like, okay, I'm losing a lot of health here because the Silent doesn't have much health. But I was building up kind of some synergies with my block where I was getting I can't remember what the cards were or what the relics I had were, but I was getting it so I was getting block every turn, and then I had plenty of block cards in my hand. and I managed to get to the final boss. Every campsite I was getting to, I was resting and healing, which again is also, I guess, not ideal. When
You
playing.
usually have to though when the last like I'll tell you my strategy when you're done.
Okay. So then we got to the third boss, which is, I think, is he called the Awakened?
Yeah, the Awakened or the Crow.
Or the Crow, yeah.
Back in the day, I think.
So yeah, it's also another boss where he sits at the back, and you have two. I always call them bird boys, but they're two. I did like the witch doctor or something.
Yeah, I can't think of the name now, but yeah, they're two like bird-headed humans.
Yeah. So my strategy again was to go all out for him. I had a couple of cards that were going for. They did attack to everyone, which I'd upgraded. So I had like die, and one of the other ones that does damage to everyone. So my plan was I went for him. It was a tough fight because I can't remember why, but I believe like his strength keeps getting buffed all the time.
Yep.
So and
he heals himself.
Yeah, and every every turn he heals himself. Yeah. So it came down to the wire where I think I had about 30 health left and like 5 block, and we knocked him out, and I was celebrating like, oh my god, I can't believe I actually beat him, because at the start of the run it looked so bad, or at the start of the fight it looked so bad. But then, yeah, I didn't realize that was only his first kind of
form.
Yeah, his first
he awakened
form. And so he awoke, and his next attack was going to do 44 damage to me. So like I said, I had about 30 health and about 6 block, and I was like, great, I'm dead. Like, and I don't know, it just kind of made my stomach sink a bit, because I thought,
cultists, that's what they're called.
Yeah, the cultists, that's right. Because I thought, what am I supposed to do here? Like I've really like had to play well to get this far, and then it comes to a point where I just feel like now I'm destined to lose. There was nothing I could really do with the cards that I had to do it, and what I ended up managing to tank one hit from him, but then by the second hit there was nothing I could do. I got a handful of attack cards and skill cards that didn't really give me any block, and I was like, yeah, well, now I'm dead. And it's kind of, yeah, like I said, it was a bit kind of demoralizing, because I really thought we had a good run. I really thought we played well, but I just felt like at the end of the run, at the end of the day, there was no chance I was going to beat this guy with the cards that I had.
Well, I think it was the last podcast where I was saying that some final bosses kind of screw over your plans.
Yeah.
Like, because the thing is, you have to take the cultists out first, always, because they power up turn by turn.
Okay.
Too. I think they also get stronger each turn out, because they do the first turn that they don't attack, but they get the boost.
Yeah.
And I think their strength goes up one each turn afterwards.
Okay.
So it's best to try to take them out first, because being that the boss heals himself, if you don't hit him, he can't heal himself. So whatever. And his power, I think his power goes up if you hit him. So you can usually tank his first few hits. So take the cultist out right away, and then you focus on him. The problem is poison against him is not the best, because of the awakened form. That like he loses all the poison right when you kill him the first time.
Yeah.
So you gotta be kind of lucky to get the poison up again quickly, and also the defense. Yeah, like a lot of the final bosses, poison is not the best. It depends on your relics. I'm not sure we have the relic yet. The relic, which is like when you kill an enemy, that poison gets moved on to another enemy.
No,
that's really good. That's really good for that, because you would focus on one of the cultists, get his poison up really ridiculously high.
Yeah. Kill
him. His goes up to the next cultist, hopefully. Kill him.
Yeah. And then goes on.
And then all that poison goes on to the final boss, which in this, like, he can die in like 3 turns, and his first form is died in like really quickly.
Yeah.
Or the ones where it's like you get the card which is like adds 1 poison each turn, and if you upgrade that, it's like, I think it's 4 poison, and then there's the relic that gives, if every time you poison the enemy, if you add 1 more poison.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it really helpful for poison. Like, there's a lot of relics that really help poison. If you don't have those relics, it makes it challenging.
Yeah. And that, to be honest, that was like the thing that afterwards, where I kind of was like, okay, I understand, like, this is a roguelike and it's about making progression, and I felt like I'd gained skill just getting that far. But it was also nice at the end of the turn, because obviously then I got like loads of XP, and I hadn't unlocked anything with the silence. So I think I got her through like two levels of unlocked, and then the cards I got, I was like, oh, okay, now I can see that these cards, if I had these cards in my hand, because they were both kind of like powerful poison cards. I was like, yeah, then I can see, okay, maybe I could have used my poison strategies better, that would have killed things quicker and then would have given me more health and would have given me a chance. So even though I was a bit salty at the when the fight was over, when I kind of looked at what we'd unlocked, I was like, okay, I know now that I'm going to be better in my next run, and that maybe we can get there.
And it's
faster.
also it's like learning, right? And the idea is just like, okay, you understand how the boss works, so you kind of be cocky at the beginning and not go all out. You have to kind of play more defensive until you get him to the second form, and then really try to like knock him out. Like as I said, like when I was playing, like Silent's not one of my favorites because he's very annoying for a lot of the final bosses. That one, and then the timekeeper, I think it's called, where it's like you have to play 12 cards, and after 12th card, no matter what turn it is, your turn ends. Because you're trying to play a lot of poison cards. Yeah. You're playing a lot of cards at a time. So yeah, he's not the Silence really hard. My tactic is in that first run, in that first room, every time to get to campfire, I upgrade a card. Yeah. I never heal. Like, because if I can't make it past the first boss, it's useless. Yeah,
like that's
I'd rather start again.
Too. Yeah, for the and first floor, the rest. That's the same for me. Is first floor I go for every elite I can, and I upgrade whenever I can.
Yeah, and then like I'm on Ascension 4 or 5 on all characters on Steam because I have 300 hours on Steam, 110 hours on Switch. Yeah, and Ascensions make it way harder. Yeah, like but yeah, so like. You need to understand, like, I think it's like just playing it through. Like for me, it's like when I'm playing your character, I just play it quickly. Like I don't really care about strategy, especially to unlock the first few things, because like I think unlocking things really help because you do get a lot of good power ups and cards that help your thing. Yeah. And yeah, for the silent, it's like either you get a lot of shivs for low damage or you get a lot of poison. Yeah. Right, and it's got to hope you get the proper enemy final boss, because both of them are those who are painful. Yeah. For poison, because the awakened form, you resist all your poison, you have to start up again.
No. Yeah, that's it. Like, because I saw that it said, not awoken yet, and I was like, all right, I'm probably gonna, like the slimes. I was like, I'll probably do half health and then he'll get some buff. But I was not expecting a second wave, and that's why I was kind of a bit so like, what really, like, But how many bosses are there, like, altogether to beat?
3. You were on the final boss. So technically, how it works is you have to beat the 3 stages with each character. Yeah. For sure the first 3, because then the 4th one's an extra. And then when you beat all 3, there's a 4th level, which is really hard. I never beat the heart yet. Right. You haven't seen the heart. Have you seen the heart yet? I don't think you have. No. You got to beat the 3rd boss to see it. The idea is that, so then what happens is you unlock, it's like, it's not a Triforce, but it's like 3 unlockable, each representing each color of the first 3. Yeah. One you get by fighting a harder elite. It's going to look like an elite, but it's going to have fire around it. Mm-hmm. And there you get one of the pieces. One is instead of upgrading or healing, you get the piece. And the other one is from, the chest you get? Yeah. So instead of picking the relic from the chest, you pick the 3rd piece. Oh. So you have to defeat the first 3 bosses, and then you have a 4th stage. Right. Which is, I think it's like 3 levels and then the final boss. And one of the final boss, the lead there is like 2 enemies this way, and then depending on who you're attacking, you're facing the backwards of the other one. Right, yeah. And then it's like you fight the heart, and it's really hard. Like I've never beat it. I have a few friends who beat it. Yeah. But the ascensions get really ridiculously hard. Like the first one I think is making the final boss harder. The second is making elites harder. The third is making enemies harder. Mm-hmm. One point is like you don't heal all the way when you go to the second floor, or every floor afterwards. And when the last one is you're fighting 2 final bosses in a row without healing. Like it gets ridiculously hard. Yeah, and it goes up to Ascension 20, right? Yeah, exactly. And I'm not even close to 10. Yeah, cool. No, that's good to know because like I said, I'm really glad that we did progress, because I was kind of feeling like I said, I was hitting the same wall every single stream where I was like, I'm getting to about halfway through the second floor and being like, I don't know what to do now. I can't get any further. But yeah, that's some really great tips. But yeah, the other game I played was Dead Cells, and we progressed in that too. But now I feel like I've hit a wall in Dead Cells where I feel like apart from the toxic sewers, the first 3 levels are like
a cakewalk. Like I'm just like, yeah, I know this is like a formality that I have to get through them. And then you get to the Black Bridge and you fight the Concierge, and now I'm also like, yeah, I feel like every fight I'm gonna beat him now. As long as I have a turret, I'm like, yeah, it's
Yeah, exactly. That's a good attack for me. I like having a turret and then the one to hold them in place.
yeah,
Question: do you know when you beat the Concierge, you get the blacksmith, the big blacksmith?
yeah.
Do you give him your cells then?
No, this is what I was gonna ask you.
Do that.
Yeah,
Do that.
Because I
So
wasn't.
the idea,
Go on.
because the idea is that by giving him cells, he increases, and then you can find better weapons. There's a chance of finding better weapons.
Right.
Like weapons with a plus. Like his mini blacksmith person.
Yeah.
You can if you give him your cells as you go along, he upgrades your weapons.
Yeah.
Those are weapons you can find just by finding them because you gave him cells.
Okay.
So usually what I do sometimes is I'll run through all the first 3 stages, not giving cells to the collector.
Yeah.
Especially when I've collected what I wanted from him.
Mm-hmm.
And then just dump them all into the blacksmith.
Uh-huh.
When I feed it for him. Because then if you get to like 25-30%, like it means those weapons are more powerful.
Yeah.
What I do is I usually try to unlock the health, as much health as you can from the collector, the money one, so you can start with more money. Having a random bow and arrow and random weapon at start.
Yeah.
Those help because you don't get shitty sword.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I do is usually it's like I'll just run through the first level and like either I go to the to the sewer or whatever the other normal place is called. Yeah. Not the ramparts, but the
like swamp one.
No, that's the one with annoying enemies that are big and attack you hard.
Yeah.
And then try to get the time bonus room to get the cells
and
get whatever power ups are in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then do that 2 or 3 times to do and run through them really quickly.
Yeah.
And then beat the Concierge. Like I can consistently get to the clock room pretty much easily. Like defeating the clock master. I think he's a second boss. He's pretty easy when you know what to do.
Right. Yeah, because that's where the walls kind of hit me now. Is that I'm going into the world after the Concierge, which is like the rundown town, and there's all the guys that are throwing eggs at you that then spawn like the little maggots.
Those guys.
You like and then you have the guys that fire like the bubble at you, like
the
that
cannon.
Yeah. Like the furthest I got is where you get into like the town center, and there's kind of like the note from the king. And I read that, and then, but then that was also kind of like just dodging enemies just to see how far I could get. What would you say is your best strategy for going through there?
I just go I usually try those guys shoot cannons. I usually try to get them from if I can drop down on them.
Yeah.
Right, just slam to daze them. For me, it depends on what weapon I have. I like usually the bigger weapons. I like the broadsword. I like the hammer.
Hammer, yeah.
Because as soon as you hit them with a hammer, they get knocked down. So you can just like wail on them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of dodging. Honestly, it's just a lot of dodging. You see the ball come, you just try to dodge around it.
Yeah.
Like I think you gotta get used to the enemies, and then when you get used to them, it's very easy. Like I think it causes me some trouble. As long as you don't get the down attack from them, you're usually fine.
Yeah.
I usually grab the vampire teeth power up from the girl because that gives you a lot of health. Because especially on level, there's so many small minions.
Yeah.
That even if you get wrecked by one of those guys, you can gain back so much health. Like I usually put all my power ups into attack and health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, and then that usually gives me enough to like survive. Like even if I do get trounced by one of them, I can easily come back and be like, oh, and then because I always forget to use my grenades, always.
Yeah.
Or aim my power up, I always forget. But those are also good against those guys because they can hold them in place. Like again, the guy to shoot the eggs or the one to spit up like the little 9 monsters there.
Yeah.
Because they're easy when you get used to them, and you know what's happening when you attack them.
That's it. It's like I say, I feel like the first 3 levels are so easy that it really feels like a big challenge now. Because I'm like, oh, this is actually difficult. But because my strategy was I was trying to go for items that hatch biters. Because I was like, oh, if I can use the biters to then take out the worms without me taking any damage. But I guess it's like anything. It's just practice and patience, which,
Again, is you gotta get to that room the first time. And like for me, it's like, I think the first time I ever played this, I actually got to the final boss.
Yeah.
I ran right through everyone. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is easy. And then like, I got trounced by the final boss. And I was not able to make it back to the final boss for the longest time.
Yeah.
And I finally defeated him. Like, I don't know how many hours into it.
Yeah.
Because the rooms got so hard because exactly I did the same thing as he did. Like I got to that point and even further on where I'm just like, I'm running through all these enemies because they get really hard. And it's like, there's worse ones where it's like you get demolished by an enemy if you get into his attack.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So thanks for the tip, Darth, for Dead Cells and Slay the Spire. Frankenstein Gamer says, I want to go back to Slay the Spire and Dead Cells eventually. I bought the DLC. Yeah, I also saw the DLC, but I'm kind of like, let's get through vanilla version first. But unless there's anything else you want to talk about, Darth, I think that's probably going to be the end of the podcast.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, it's been an hour around,
Yeah,
so I think
50 minutes.
Nice meeting. Yeah. And if you're if you're in a Twitch stream, reminder, come join us at switchindiefix.com/Discord for the game night tonight in around 4 hours.
Yes, do that. Cool. Good. So thanks for everyone that has been tuning in and consuming the podcast, wherever you do watch it or listen to it. Thanks, Darth, for joining me today, and also thanks to Ryan Brown at Toad's Anime, who was here, but I don't think you guys are going to see that, unfortunately. As always, before we end the show, I'd like to say a massive thank you to all of our patrons who are supporting Switch IndieFix at patreon.com/Switch IndieFix. They are Benjicon, Daniel Ward, Demiurge MCK, Giovanni Pintamel, John Reviews Switch, my mum, my fiance, Kool-Aid Moonwalk, Roomstorm, Smart Maltby, and Hopple. The podcast will be going up on Apple, Spotify, and the other good podcasting apps, as well as YouTube as soon as I can after the show. Please be sure to review it wherever you can. If you want to get in contact with me, you can hit me up at Switch IndieFix on Instagram or Twitter, or you can come and talk to Darth and I in the Discord server at switchindiefix.com/Discord. So, Darth, I'll be seeing you soon, or talking to you soon. And yeah, thanks everyone for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye all.